My dear Papa was a very special person who, I think above all else, would have been amazed by the reaction and the touching things that have been said about him. And from that point of view, we are, my family, deeply grateful for all that.
Few will recall a time when Prince Philip was not a fixture of British life.
He was an enormously intelligent man. He had a restless intellect. He drove himself very hard, and he drove people around him very hard, but he commanded enormous affection and loyalty from the people close to him.
Around the world, tributes flowed for the late Duke. Flags were lowered and military guns fired in salute. This morning in Sydney, the PM joined the Governor-General and other dignitaries at a special church service in honour of the Queen's consort.
A man of service, a man of loyalty, a man of devotion, not just to his homeland, but to all the Commonwealth, from his many visits here.
In the UK, the palace asked the public not to leave flowers, fearing crowds of mourners would violate COVID restrictions. But the plea was defied by people compelled to pay tribute.
As a man, he's held together his own family, how being an outsider, come into the royal family and changed that aspect, modernised it in a way.
I think he'll be remembered as a public servant, an inspiration.
It's a history in making, you know. For her, it's a chance to see something special. We had a really hard year, all of us, and there's people uniting in a very special moment.
But there's one other issue on everybody's mind.
Do you think Prince Harry should come?
Yeah, I do really, yeah.
The royal rift that crested with the infamous Oprah interview remains, and all eyes will be on the reunion of William and his brother, with Harry confirmed to be flying home for next weekend's funeral.
I can't imagine that there's a world in which he wouldn't want to be there. He was incredibly close to the Duke of Edinburgh. The Duke of Edinburgh adored Harry.
Meghan, however, will not. Pregnant with their second child, she's reportedly been advised not to fly. And all parties will no doubt be thankful to avoid the additional media frenzy.
Well, our UK correspondent Lucy McDonald joins us now from London. Lucy, Philip was a controversial figure, but there has been an outpouring of affection for him. What's been your sense of it?
I've been really surprised, actually. He was a controversial figure in life, and for me, perhaps his jokes that were widely reported in the tabloid press actually overshadowed his role, you know, as the Queen's support for more than 70 years and all his charitable work. And I think that many people feel the same. And it wasn't until reading the obituaries and watching the television wall-to-wall coverage we've had this weekend of his life that I actually realised what an immense man he was. Most people here know him for publicity, which helps many young people all around the world. But I think it's given us all a chance to sort of pause and reflect. A century's gone by, prime ministers come and go, politicians come and go, and here we have, I guess, this power couple who endured everything, and now that's no more. And that feels quite hard, and I think there's a lot of national affection for the Queen and this law.
Lucy, it's been confirmed that Prince Harry will be attending. Is there a danger that the family's current conflict could overshadow the funeral?
I can't see that happening. I think it will be very, very tightly managed. We know it's going to be televised. I imagine that the family don't want there to be a public rift, at least. It's terribly damaging to the royal family. So perhaps it could be used. I mean, who knows? But as an opportunity for photos between William, Harry and Charles. But I don't think that they'll let the Harry and Meghan sideshow impact such an important day. Obviously, a very scaled down day. In non-COVID times, there'd be 800 people, heads of states, everybody from around the world coming to this funeral. It'll just be 30 friends and family. Boris Johnson, our Prime Minister, isn't going to be going to make way for their sort of fairly large family. So I don't think Harry and Meghan will be allowed to dominate this at all, not that they would want to.
That said, there has, Lucy, been a bit of a tabloid narrative that Meghan and Harry's rift has sort of exacerbated Philip's decline. I know certain tabloids have run with that story. I'm curious in terms of how the British people are reacting to stories like that. Do you think that notion will take hold?
No, I don't think that notion will take hold. I mean, things gain traction very quickly, don't they, in the world of social media and tabloid news. But I think that having watched all the stuff about him this weekend, this is a man who fought in a war. This is a man who walked alongside his grandsons behind Diana's coffin. His demise was not hastened by Megxit at all, I don't think. He was very ill. He was 99 years old. He had been in and out of hospital for 4 times recently. He retired in 2017. So I don't think that will be the story, although I'm sure some people might, given time, try to make it the story. But I think, in fact, we should focus on his life and his work and all he achieved.
Lucy, the Queen actually met Philip when she was just 13 years of age. They had a 73-year marriage, and she always described Philip as her rock. How do you think the rest of her reign will look without Philip by her side?
It's hard to say. She's been doing lots of public engagements on her own since he retired in 2017 and has always cut a fairly lonely figure, I've found. We saw Sophie Wessex last night coming into Windsor to be with the Queen to say that to a crowd member that she was doing amazingly. I imagine she's already scaled back on her public engagements because of COVID. Will that happen? I just feel that she's had this man, I was about to say at her side, but actually he was 2 steps behind, wasn't he? That was royal protocol for all of her life. And it must be like losing a limb for her. And I guess she'll be drawing very much on her large family. Don't forget, 4 children, 8 grandchildren, 10 great-grandchildren to get her through, but also to help her publicly, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's a massive loss for the Queen, no doubt. Lucy McDonald, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Oh, look, I can't help thinking that there's... You know, like 15 years ago, we didn't necessarily pay as much attention to the royals, and now we've all watched so much of The Crown.
Yeah.
We've really romanticised the story. So I'm not saying that people wouldn't care at all about the death of Prince Philip, but it feels, I mean, it's hit people really hard because of their attachment to this TV show.
Yeah, he had an incredible life, and you know, The Crown is obviously heavily fictionalised in many ways, but it does give some flesh to his story, which is a remarkable story that, you know, as Lucy mentioned, there was world wars, he came from another country, and his pathway into the UK in the first place was really complicated as well.
It discombobulates me because I'm like, I feel like Prince Philip's endeared himself to me, but then I'm like, no, it's just the actor that plays him on The Crown.
He was very good. And this is a bit of an insight into Prince Philip. His more playful side, you could say. Here he is gate-crashing a royal correspondence piece to camera. Have a look.
It was the Duke himself who decided that they should spend the actual day of their anniversary on Malta for this very private of public couples. Quite a romantic gesture.
So he said they're finished. I really like that.
Yeah.
Really endearing.
With so much content online, it's sometimes hard to keep up with it all. And let's face it, who has the time? The Project YouTube has you covered with the stories that matter. Hit subscribe for a daily list of the news that you need to know.